Daf Yomi Tractate Bava Metzia, page 94b. We just started the 8th parak, the 8th chapter of Bava Metzia, top of 94b. We're in the middle of the Mishnah on top. 94b, the words Aval, Shal, Sapara. But if one borrowed the cow and only afterward borrowed the services of the owner or hired him, and the cow died, he is liable to pay the owner for the cow. This is the halacha even if the owner was working for the borrower at the time. As it is stated, if the owner is not with him, he shall pay. Exodus 22:13. Gemara, the Talmud says, from the fact that the latter clause teaches and afterward borrowed the cow, it may be inferred that when the first clause teaches borrowed its owner with it, the intention is literally with it, meaning at the same moment. The Gemara asks, can you find such a case where the owner obligates himself to serve the borrower literally with it? Given that one borrows the cow through pulling the cow and contracts the services of the owner through their verbal agreement, it emerges that if they agree to both matters at the same time, one borrows the services of the owner before he borrows the cow, which is the case mentioned in the latter clause of the Mishnah. What then is the case mentioned in the first clause? The Gemara answers, if you wish, say that the Mishnah is referring to a case such as where the cow is standing in the borrower's courtyard, which can affect acquisition to the rights to use the cow for him so that it does not lack. In other words, there is no need for pulling. Accordingly, both the borrowing of the owner's services and the borrowing of his cow will take effect simultaneously upon their agreement. Alternatively, if you wish, say the cases where the borrower says to him, you yourself will not be lent to me until the moment of the pulling of your cow. The Gemara analyzes the halakha order of the four types of baileys that were delineated in the previous chapter. We learned in a Mishnah, there, 93a, there are four types of baileys: an unpaid bailey and the borrower, a paid bailey and the renter. The Mishnah there continues. If the item was stolen, lost, or broken, and the animal died in any manner, the halachot with regard to them as follows. An unpaid bailey takes an oath over every outcome. Whether the item was lost, or stolen, or broken, or if the animal died, the unpaid bailey must take an oath that it happened as he described, and then he's exempt. In all cases, he's exempt. And the borrower does not take an oath. He pays for every outcome, whether it was stolen or lost, or even in a circumstance beyond his control. He's reliable. He's responsible for everything. The halachot of the paid bailey and renter are the same. They take an oath over an injured animal, over a captured animal, and over a dead animal, attesting that the mishaps were caused by circumstances beyond their control, and they are exempt. But they must pay for loss or theft. The Gemara asks, from where are these matters derived? As the sages taught in Braita, the verses in the Torah about baileys can be divided into three passages. The first passage, which is in Exodus 22, 6-8, is stated about an unpaid bailey. The second is Exodus 22, 9-12, is about a paid bailey. And the third, Exodus 22, 13 and 14, is about a borrower. The Gemara asks, granted, it is clear that the third passage is about a borrower, as the verse explicitly states, and when a man borrows from another and is injured or dies, if its owner is not with him, he shall pay. Exodus 22, 13. But with regard to the claim of the Braita that the first passage is about an unpaid bailey and the second is about a paid bailey, I could also say the reverse, as the verses do not state which type of bailey they are referring to. The Gemara justifies the claim of the Braita. Clearly, a paid bailey carries a more severe level of liability than an unpaid bailee. Accordingly, it stands to reason that the second passage is about a paid bailee, as it states a stringency. Yeah? A stringency that the bailee is liable even in cases of theft or loss. The Exodus 22:11. The Gemara challenges this claim. On the contrary, it stands to reason that the first passage is about a paid bailee, and it states the stringency that the bailee pays the double payment in a case where he takes a false oath stating the claim that the thief stole the item that he was safeguarding. See Exodus 22, verse 6. Where were we? Wow. The Gemara explains, even so, being liable to pay the principal whenever one claims the deposit was stolen without the ability to exempt oneself by taking an oath is a greater stringency than being liable for the double payment, as that liability is only when one takes a false oath to that effect, otherwise exempt. The Gemara adds, no, that this is so, as a borrower bears the most severe level of liability because he is privileged. All benefit from the transaction is his without incurring any cost to himself. And in cases of theft, he pays only the principal but is never required to pay the double amount. The Gemara questions the proof just cited, but is it true that with regard to the borrower, all benefit from the transaction is his? But doesn't the animal require food, which the borrower must provide? The Gemara answers the halakha of a borrower also apply when the animal is standing in a marsh, where food is freely available. The Gemara persists, but doesn't the animal require safeguarding? The Gemara answers the halakha of a borrower also apply when the borrower is a city guard and does not need to do anything additional to safeguard the animal. And if you wish, do not say that all benefit is his, rather say most of his benefit is his, and that it is sufficient reason to the renter to render him liable in all circumstances. And if you wish, say that the halachot of a borrower apply also with regard to borrowing vessels which do not require constant care. In any event, it is clear that a borrower is uniquely privileged and accordingly bears the most severe level of liability. Okay, I think we're going to stop there as part 1. And we're going to pick it up with part 2 when we come back, because it's just longer than I expected. And so we'll do 94B, part 2. Yeah, part 2. Yeah.